And then we'll get ready to admit people right here at 5:30. Make sure you have fun. I'm going to start to let people in.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. We'll get started in a few minutes.
Hola, muy buenas noches a todos. Vamos a comenzar en unos minutos.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I think we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Georgina Vivian with VRPA Technologies and part of the outreach team. I'd like to first say thank you for attending this virtual event tonight for the Fresno and Madera County region or subregion. It's regarding the State Route 99 Comprehensive Multimodal Corridor Plan, or CMCP, and the surrounding it. We will be recording this session tonight so that we can capture all of your input. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. There you go. Today, we will be hosting the meeting with Spanish simultaneous interpretation. If you are a monolingual English speaker, no changes to your setup are needed at this time. Reina with Linguistica and the outreach team as well will now provide you with instructions to access the Spanish channel for those Spanish speakers who would like to hear tonight's event translated into Spanish. Reina?
Thank you. Hola, muy buenas noches a todos. Bienvenidos a esta reunión. A través de esta reunión vamos a tener interpretación simultánea disponible. Si usted está usando una computadora, usted va a seleccionar el icono que parece un mundo abajo de la pantalla. La modalidad ya ha sido activada, así es que puede unirse en este momento. Para seleccionar su lenguaje de preferencia, seleccionará el icono que parece un mundo, después seleccionará español No olvide silenciar el audio original para que de esta manera no escuche un eco cuando usted está escuchando la reunión. Y le invitamos a someter cualquier pregunta o comentario en su lenguaje de preferencia y aquí estaremos para asistirle. Si usted está utilizando una tableta o un celular, sus opciones son distintas. Usted necesitará seleccionar los tres puntitos en la parte inferior derecha de su pantalla o en la parte superior derecha que dice More o más. Después de que selecciona los tres puntitos, va a deslizar hacia arriba, selecciona interpretación del lenguaje, después español. No olvide silenciar el audio original y por último oprimir Done o finalizar para que de esta manera se active la modalidad. Y estaremos listos para apoyarle. Gracias. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Reina. Next slide, please. I would also like to review some housekeeping issues with you tonight. All attendees will be muted during the session, and your video will not be available during the event. If you have a question during the presentation, please post your question or comment in the chat box. We will monitor the questions and present non-repetitive questions as they are added to the chat box and when the presenter is available to answer them. Next slide, please. There are several agencies and firms involved in preparing this important study, including Caltrans District 6, 10, and 3, and members of the Jacobs Consultant Team, including Jacobs Transportation, VRPA Technologies, AIM Consulting, as well as Linguistica. All of us have traveled State Route 99 over the years for our daily activities, whether commuting to work or to access shopping or other services. I have traveled along State Route 99 for 7 years between downtown Fresno and Madera County. And I travel it now for work, whether I'm going to the northern or southern regions of California. So this study is important for all of us. We're all engaged in making sure that we identify the most important solutions to improve State Route 99 for all of us. Tonight is your turn to let us know how you use State Route 99. Also help us learn and identify your challenges with the corridor, and most importantly, help us identify some of those unique solutions to address those challenges. We're going to be asking you to give us some ideas of where you would like to see specific solutions made, specific improvements made along the corridor. At this point, I'd like to briefly review the agenda for the remainder of this hour-long event. We have a full agenda for the session tonight. Members of the study team will provide you with an introduction related to the planning process, and there will be polling questions throughout so that you can provide us with your opinions related to State Route 99. We will provide you with some background information related to previous planning along State Route 99 and with some information related to current conditions. It will also be important for us to learn about your solutions, as I mentioned previously, or methods that could be used to address challenges along the corridor. It's important that we find out what you think. Finally, we'll identify the next steps in this planning process so that we can continue to be, so that you can continue to be engaged in this important study. Next slide, please. I'll now turn the presentation over to Alec Kimmel. He is the branch chief for system planning with Caltrans District 6. Before you get started, Alec, maybe you can provide some unique discussion about why you use State Route 99 and why it's important to you. Alec?
Thank you for that introduction, Georgina. And thank you, all of you, for giving of your time and welcome to this workshop. Having lived in Fresno or the Fresno area for most of my life, I also utilize the State Route 99 corridor regularly. There's a specific segment between the junction with State Route 180 and Olive Avenue that I will use almost every day to get to and from the office where I work. I have many memories of driving on State Route 99 throughout my life, but the impression that comes through from all of them is that 99 really is the link between our area and the rest of not just the state of California, but also the world. In a word, State Route 99 is home to me. It has connected me and my family to destinations north and south of Fresno for as long as I can remember. And my career as a transportation professional has enhanced my own personal experience with an appreciation for how State Route 99 is truly the lifeline of our valley. Growing up, I took the agricultural industry that we see along this corridor for granted, but after a recent drive across the American West, I realize how unique and special it is. So with that, I would like to welcome you all again on behalf of Caltrans District 6 to this initial round of virtual public workshops for the State Route 99 Comprehensive Multimodal Corridor Plan. My name is Alec Kimmel. I am the Caltrans Corridor Planning Representative for Caltrans District 6, and the focus for this workshop is for State Route 99 in Fresno and Madera counties. We are committed to addressing the needs of the communities on the corridor, and we encourage you to share your ideas for what improvements on and along State Route 99 would benefit your communities. We look forward to hearing your thoughts and your ideas for the State Route 99 Comprehensive Multimodal Corridor Plan, or CMCP. Back to you, Georgina.
Thank you so much, Alec. For our first question, we're going to put you to work real quick here. We're going to ask you to give us a sense of where you live in relation to the State Route 99 corridor. If you were here in person, of course, we would have had you sign in and we would have you identify your city or your zip code. But since we're doing this virtually, we're going to want you to go ahead and identify in the chat box your city and your zip code so that we can get a sense of where you are, where you reside in relation to the corridor. So if you could take a couple of minutes and go ahead and in the chat box, go ahead and list your city and zip code, that would be wonderful. Looks like we still have a number of people providing their information, so that's great. And it looks like we have a number of people from both Fresno and Madera counties. Great, thank you so much. Next slide, please. So our next question to you, Katie, if you could go ahead and bring up the first polling question. We want to go ahead and ask you an important question about why you use State Route 99 most often. So if you could please provide us with your most important answer. A is commute to work. B is go to the store. C is reach services such as medical. D is get to school. E is to visit friends and family. F is for leisure activities. And then G is for other. If you do choose other, if you could please let us know in the chat box what other represents. And then we'll be able to take a look at that and make sure that it gets tabulated in the answers. So we'll give you a couple of minutes to go ahead and make your choices.
Great. It looks like responses are rolling in. Let's just give it about another 30 seconds. About 75% of our participants have responded.
Great.
At 80%. And it looks like we have a few in the chat box too.
Good.
So we'll just give it another few seconds and then we'll close it and share the results. All right, I'm going to share the results.
Thank you. So it looks like we have some ties between commuting to work, visiting family and friends, and then also other in the chat box. Doug, would you like to let us know what some of those other answers might be?
Yeah, it looks like a mix of business and pleasure, and just making connections and trips throughout the valley.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, so next we have a video. We'll now play the video that has been, prepared to highlight the State Route 99 planning process. The video provides a good overview of the planning process and is very informative. So if we go ahead and play the video at this time.
Caltrans is developing a comprehensive multimodal corridor plan, CMCP, for State Route 99, SR 99, from Bakersfield to Sacramento. SR 99 is crucial for goods movement and interregional connectivity. Although sections of SR 99 have been improved over the years, more work is needed to address growing safety, access, and traffic demands. The CMCP will guide future corridor decisions considering transportation trends, emerging technologies, community needs, and state and local policies. The planning area includes Caltrans Districts 3, 6, and 10, and 8 counties in coordination with their metropolitan planning organizations and transportation planning agencies, as well as local agencies and community partners. Caltrans has been planning for a cohesive SR 99 corridor since the early 2000s through Caltrans District's Transportation Concept Reports, California System Management Plans, and the SR 99 Business Plan. These efforts highlight multimodal opportunities for enhancing the SR 99 corridor. When complete, the SR 99 CMCP will carry forward the vision of these plans and reports. The Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017, Senate Bill 1, established the Solutions for Congested Corridors program with an annual budget of approximately $250 million. This program funds projects that deliver specific, measurable performance improvements and align with comprehensive corridor plans. These projects can span state highways, local streets, public transit, rail facilities, cycling and pedestrian infrastructure, or necessary mitigation efforts. The CMCP will showcase agency coordination and robust analysis, enhancing the region's competitiveness for federal and state funding. Over the course of the next year, we will be looking not only to our partners and local agencies for input as we develop the CMCP, but also to you, the users of the corridor. We will be hosting a series of virtual events at key times during the planning process, both to inform you and to request your feedback. Virtual meetings will be held in each of the counties. Please join us to help identify priorities, concerns, and solutions that improve the SR 99 corridor and adjacent communities.
Great, thank you. Come back to the slides. Our next presenter is Seth Torma. He's Planning Practice Lead and with Jacobs Transportation, who will present information on the background planning process. Seth?
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. So first and foremost, want to reiterate what the video said, which is we're not starting from scratch. There's been a lot of planning and studies that have been done over the years, and you can see just some of those here listed as led mostly by Caltrans. And Caltrans studies are not just the only studies that we're looking at our prior plans. We're looking at regional plans done by your local planning agencies, local plans, and other plans in the corridor. So we're building on an incredible body of work and experience and input from the past. Next slide. I'm just going to pause for a minute. Sorry, slow down for the translation as well. Secondly, on this slide, we wanted to identify what is the purpose of this, what is called the CMCP, Comprehensive Multimodal Corridor Plan. The purpose of this plan is to identify a range of what we call multimodal, different types of transportation opportunities in the corridor to improve and enhance the corridor and the communities that surround it. So those could be bicycle or pedestrian improvements, that could be rail improvements, highway improvements, or other things that we're going to hear about in our conversations with you all. With that plan, once we put together an organized list of those projects, this is the other purposes. This is a state-funded planning study, and it aligns with other statewide and local plans. And once this plan is done, it allows for other funding opportunities related to the next steps of the plan. So this slide illustrates our overall process that we're following and our general schedule. Excuse me. So the first step of the project is really to what we call define the corridor characteristics there on the left-hand side of the screen. And so that's the phase that we're in and are sort of in still now in presenting, and really it's our chance to understand the corridor. Where do the people and the goods travel? How do they travel? What are those characteristics? What does it look like for all of the modes that move throughout the corridor? And part of that is a technical process, and part of that is a process of talking to people and getting input, those that live, work, and play there every day. The second step is to analyze gaps and opportunities, to identify challenges and opportunities for all users in the corridor. And so that's in part based on the analysis that and data that we collected in that first step, to define the characteristics. So based on that data, we're looking for where are the gaps and challenges and opportunities in the corridor. But an additional important part of really understanding where those issues and opportunities are is to listen and have public workshops and listen to the communities in the corridor, as well as the agencies in the corridor. And that's the process that we're in right now. So you can see at the bottom there, these public workshops that we are conducting throughout this month of June are really to help inform that step of the process. The next step then, once we've really done that over the course of the summer and get an idea of what those are, then we'll be able to really identify and build the solutions throughout the corridor. And so what are the transportation projects, maybe some programs, some policies to improve mobility on and across the corridor and support the communities along the corridor. And at that step, once we collect all of those ideas, which we've already begun by looking at some of the prior plans in the corridor, we're going to come back again in a similar setting like we're having here today with public workshops in about the winter time 2025. So after, late fall this year and into the winter of December, January 2025. And then after we come back and share those solutions with you all again, hopefully if we've done our jobs, you're going to see some of your input captured there, an idea that you may share with us here today, or a challenge that we've solved by looking at it and addressing it. Once we do that, then we'll go through that final step there, develop the implementation plan. And so that will develop a set of organized projects and programs and strategies that are really lined up for implementation and funding. And that'll happen in the spring and summer of next year, 2025. We'll go to the next slide that illustrates the same content in Spanish. I'll pause here for a moment to let others read it. And just checking the chat if we have any questions about the process. Nothing so far. Okay. So this page illustrates the study goals. And we'll read these one by one. So these are really the guiding principles of the study, the goals that we're trying to achieve through the course of the study. So the first goal is to promote a safe system and improve safety throughout the corridor. Always a critical and of critical importance. Another important goal is to maintain and repair the infrastructure that we have. We also want to develop strategies that support the economy, as already alluded to, and we'll say more about. It's an important goods movement corridor, but it's also an important corridor for a variety of reasons. We want to do things and create strategies that improve the air quality in the valley. All the enhancements and strategies also, we want to enhance equity through those strategies. We also want to reduce congestion, make travel easier for all. We want to prepare and combat climate change. I should say prepare for and combat climate change. Improve public health. Advance clean technology and plan for new technologies. And support affordable housing and supportive land use throughout the corridor. So these are the overall goals of the study. And which brings us to our next polling question. We'd like to hear from you now. What two goals are the most important for you of the list down below? So what two goals are most important?
Those goals include promote safe travel, maintain streets and highways. Number 2 are support the valley's economy, support affordable development. 3, promote equitable transportation investments. 4, prepare for climate change and advance clean technology. 5, improve air quality and improve public health. And 6, reduce traffic congestion. So if you give us your top 2 goals, that would be wonderful.
Great, and answers are rolling into the poll right now. We've got about 60% who have answered, so we'll just keep it open for about another 30 seconds to see who else.
Great, thanks, Katie.
Absolutely. And yeah, some great questions coming into the chat for when we get to our discussion. And great, and with close to 90% of people responding, let me share the results.
Great, thank you so much. So it looks like our number 1 goal is promote safe travel, maintain streets and highways. Next, we have support the valley's economy and support affordable development. We have a tie between promote equitable transportation investments, prepare for climate change and advance clean technologies, and improve air quality and improve public health. Traffic congestion, reducing traffic congestion, comes in last in this poll.
All right.
Great, thank you so much. Our next presenter is Doug Johnson. He's a principal transportation planner with Jacobs Transportation. He'll present information on the existing conditions along the corridor and some of the challenges that we all find along State Route 99, and then identify some of the potential solutions to improve the corridor. Doug?
Thanks, Georgina. and we'll look forward to looping back to some of the questions in the chat at the end, assuming we've got time to get there.
Right.
So yes, first and foremost, in getting to know and looking at the length of the corridor, one of the largest findings that you all well know is the amount of growth that the Valley has experienced over the last 20 plus years. We've seen growth in excess of 1% per year in most of the counties in the corridor, with forecasted growth anticipated to continue as well. We'll see if how those forecasts do hold up, but it is expected to continue to see strong growth. The growth is really anchored quite evenly throughout, obviously with Kern and San Joaquin showing very high percentages of growth, pushing 40%, and Merced as well, while Sacramento led with a growth of 350,000 new residents. When we look at job growth, we see a similar story looking back over these past 20 years. Again, very strong growth across the corridor and quite even as well. Obviously, not getting into a great detail here about the types of jobs that are being created across the corridor. But the thing that really does stand out here is instead of seeing cooling forecasts in the future, you actually see strong growth anticipated in the years ahead in the Central Valley, which will continue to put pressure on the transportation and other infrastructure systems in the valley. As we look also at the corridor from US 50 to I-5, we really see the various types of transportation services and networks that serve the valley. It is anchored by the state highway system with its intersections with the interstate highway system in the south, in the west, and in the north also, with I-5, 205, Interstate 80, among others, as well as critically important local state highways connecting east-west across the valley, into the foothills, and into adjoining regions, Southern California, the Bay Area, high desert, and the northern portion of the valley as well. Next, in looking at the multimodal network, the next layer we really look at is the rail system that exists serving the valley and the state. This includes the state rail passenger service provided by the San Joaquins presently, in the future high-speed service as well, but is anchored by freight rail service reaching as far north as Oregon and beyond, to the ports in Southern California and the Bay Area, and that critically important connection out to the high desert routes as well. There's a number of intermodal facilities in the corridor, and more in development in the years ahead, as the logistics industry continues to grow in the valley. Next slide. And the final piece is the transit service that the valley enjoys with providers, a variety of providers providing local and intercity service throughout the corridor. In addition, private bus operators like Flixbus and Greyhound are also providing service along the corridor, helping to connect the region to the adjoining Southern California, Bay Area, and Sacramento regions. In addition to all these layers is also local bike and pedestrian and trail networks as well that further support regular travel. In looking at the length of the corridor, travel ranges from about 55,000 vehicle trips per day to over 200,000 vehicle trips per day. When we take a closer look at the southern segment, we see very high levels of traffic and daily travel around Fresno and Bakersfield, with over 150,000 trips per day on those segments closest to those communities. And farther north, we see heavy traffic as it approaches Manteca and the 205, and in the Sacramento region when looking in the northern segment. Next slide, Phil. Thanks. In those cases, traffic in the Sacramento region, total daily trips in excess of 200,000. So a good 30% higher than those seen in the Fresno and Bakersfield regions, but all three really pushing the system there to its limits, as well as in the areas adjoining or approaching the 205. Next slide. As Seth mentioned, we're well aware, State Route 99 and the adjoining freight rail corridors provide critical goods movement connections for the valley. Those include farm products, food and beverage, manufacturing products as well. With over a quarter of the nation's food supply being produced here in the Central Valley. And that translates to about 25 million tons of goods that are moved between Bakersfield and Sacramento. Along with those high truck volumes that come with that, we also are aware of higher emissions that occur in the corridor as a result of that, which is one of the reasons why this has been named a priority clean corridor in the state in SB 671, which seeks to advance and speed the development of clean freight infrastructure. And when we dig in today to how the travel is occurring, we see truck traffic volumes that vary between 20,000 per day to around 5,000 per day as well. And somewhat similar to the patterns we saw with personal vehicle or total vehicle trips, really intense uses approaching the 205 and Manteca, with heavy volumes also seen in Fresno and Bakersfield as well. Again, making those connections in many cases to other state highways, as well as to the interstates, 205, 80, and I-5 as well. Next. And with that, quick view of some of the key characteristics of the corridor. I'm going to hand it back to Georgina for some polling questions.
Great, thanks. So the next question has to do with what are the two top challenges you believe you experience or you believe are out there related to traveling on or across State Route 99 in your community? One is development of new homes, jobs, and infrastructure impacting trips. Two is high traffic volumes and congestion. Three, high volumes of truck traffic and goods movement. Four, unsafe roadways or intersections. And five, do I have alternatives to driving by car? So what are your two top challenges? And we've got answers rolling in.
We do. We have over 70% that have answered so far, so we'll just keep it open for just a few more seconds, about 15, 20 seconds. Again, we're looking for top two challenges. All right, just about 75%. Let me share the results. Oh, two more. All right.
There you go.
Over 80. Great.
Great. So it looks like the top answer is high volumes of truck traffic and goods movement. Next in line, we have high traffic volumes and congestion. And then do I have alternatives to driving by car? So are there other modes available? And then followed by development of new homes, jobs, and infrastructure improvements. Great. Thank you so much for answering that question.
Before we move on, why don't we just take a second to do a couple of the questions that are in the chat, if we can. Seth, I know there were a couple that you had in mind to respond to.
Sure. There's a question in the chat from Keith. Hi, Keith. You ask, can you explain how SR99 supports or can support affordable housing? And so the goal to support affordable housing, the way we can measure it and support that through a transportation study is to make sure that we provide and consider affordable housing when we're developing and providing transit access, bike and pedestrian access, and other access to affordable housing throughout the valley. There's another question related to goals that I can also answer. How are the study goals developed or based on? And is there any prioritization of the goals, given that some of the competing goals? The goals are based on building from state, regional, and local goals, policies, and guidelines, and additionally refined specifically for this particular corridor, the SR99 corridor, and its context, as well as the purpose of this study. And the purpose of this study is to develop multimodal solutions and really line these solutions up for funding, and in particular, Senate Bill 1 funding, which has specific goals related to it as well. And is there any prioritization of those goals? We are not prioritizing one goal necessarily over another. Our goal is really to address and develop strategies that accomplish, that fit within the spectrum of all of those goals throughout the process.
Great, thanks, Seth. Doug, you're going to continue with solutions?
I will, and I just will thank Keith for his note. We were just looking at those DOF figures ourselves, so we'll be curious to see how those play out.
Department of Finance.
Correct. Sorry. Apologize for getting into lingo talk. My apologies. So we'll go ahead and move on. We can loop back to remaining comments. I think it's important to note that as we, kind of move from this phase of getting to know the corridor and looking at it and its full length, all 300 miles, we understand and know that local communities are doing planning to build out a more robust transportation system that seeks to address many of the goals, as Seth noted, where we have drawn from their plans and from community needs to try and tackle that. So just a sampling here of county plans, state plans, as well transit plans, and bike and pedestrian plans that we can all draw upon, and that many of you have likely already provided your input on. And we're very fortunate to have that information as we go forward and look forward to building up our suite of solutions. Next. And we're going to do that by looking to layer a variety of solutions in across different types of transportation and multimodal needs. As Seth noted earlier on, a multimodal suite of investments will need to address cars and trucks, buses, trains, and bicyclists and pedestrians, and be thinking about some of those most vulnerable road users and those in our communities that may lack access to their own automobile or have some other unique need or challenge that we can help them. So we are able to work with you and other partners and stakeholders to build a layered set of investments and proposed solutions to try and tackle some of the challenges that you all experience in your communities getting across State Route 99 or using it and traveling north and south in the corridor more generally. So as we queue up this discussion around solutions this summer, we're really keen to hear your ideas, and we'll hand it over to Georgina one more time for a final discussion and questions.
So the next polling question is, what suggestions do you have? What solutions are you thinking about? In addition to those that are identified on the screen, additional solutions might be widening the freeway off-ramps, new freeway connectors, widening the bridges, constructing new bus stops along adjacent streets and roads along the 99 corridor, roundabouts at adjacent or connecting streets and roads, new and expanded multimodal centers, including bus, rail, and pedestrian bike facilities, new bike lanes, extensions of bike lanes, trails, and pedestrian facilities, as well as other solutions. So if you could, in the chat box, go ahead and list out what solutions you're thinking about and be very specific about even the location. That's going to help a great deal so that we know exactly where your issues are. So we'll take a few minutes to give you the time to go ahead and list your solutions. Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, we got a couple folks already chiming in. Keen to see 99 being finished as a 6-lane throughway in the corridor.
In Fresno and Madera counties. Yes. Are there places along State Route 99 where you run into bottlenecks? Is there a place where we need a pedestrian overcrossing? Are there adjacent streets that back up that need assistance, need help because of the traffic on 99? So please just let us know what your experiences have been and what solutions you think would be viable.
Yeah, Sarah suggested, can we use trains to move people's cars? I know on the East Coast, there are trains that connect to Florida, where folks put their trains on a trailer and drive them on and then go sit in the train for the rest of their trip. Eduardo is suggesting putting in caps over the freeway in some of the communities to reconnect those streets east to west and put those communities back together.
Some
I see
great
we've got-
promotions.
Yeah, some really specific ideas around bus service as well. Fighting diesel particulate in particular is called out as well. Georgine, what else do you see?
Let's see. Keith is saying 99 will likely become more of an industry serving facility in the future. I think he's probably true. That's probably true. Especially with ag and ag related industries. And just providing the services that we need every day. It's growing. Lauren, echoing Keith's need for truck lanes. And that's a major solution, truck lanes. So it's good that you're calling that out.
I see Paul calling out and questioning the importance of the SR99 as a freight corridor, and question about, will the focus of the study be on solutions to truck traffic, or working with the UP, which is a Union Pacific, or BNSF, that's the other rail line there, or short line rail in addition to the trucking industry? And the answer to that is absolutely. That'll be a part of the study, and a part of the solution set that we'll be looking at. We'll be working with the variety of the rail and trucking agencies there and industries.
Some really great comments and solutions. Okay, I think we'll go ahead and move on. If we have additional time, we can ask you to identify and in the process, as we move through this, if you want to add some additional solutions, something comes up, please go ahead and leave it in the chat box. So next steps. So what happens next? There are, as mentioned previously, there are 8 total meetings in this round of community events and forums. If you have friends and family and colleagues who would be interested in attending one of these this month, please share this information with them. We will be emailing you the invites for these meetings following tonight's meeting. We have your email addresses, so either today or tomorrow you will receive an email from me with the invites for the remaining events. Following this series of community events and forums, we will thoroughly review your feedback from tonight's meeting, as well as the other events and forums that we've held this month. And then following the conclusion of all 8 sessions, the team will create an outreach report. Next slide, please. As you can see on this slide, the first 2 major products of the study have been grayed out. That means that they're pretty much complete as of the completion of these events this month. The next 2 major events, or the next 2 major products of the study, as Seth mentioned earlier, will be to identify those solutions this summer and start to document that process and come back to you likely in the winter of 2024 or 2025 and present those solutions and get your feedback on those solutions. And then, of course, the next step, winding down the study, will be to develop the implementation plan. Next slide, please. And again, the same slide in Spanish. We'll leave it up here for about 30 seconds for those in the Spanish channel to review. Okay, next slide, please. So if you have other questions or comments after tonight's session, if you could please call, we do have a hotline number set up at 559-272-4561. Or you can also email us at sr99cmcp@dot.ca.gov, as shown on the screen. Please follow directions if you're calling or using the hotline, and we'll return your call within 3 working days. Regarding the information and videos that have been presented tonight, the PowerPoint, the outreach report, we will follow up with an email to all of the attendees and let you know when and where to find those materials online. They'll likely be posted sometime in July, after all the events are complete. So with that, that concludes our presentation tonight. We do have about 5 additional minutes for you to continue to provide us with some either challenges or solutions. And as mentioned, the more specific you can be to the location of those challenges or those solutions, it would be really appreciated so that we can document and graphically display those as part of the study. So we have about 5 minutes before everyone leaves. Just thank you again for taking the time out of your evening to attend this session. Your input is very much appreciated. And we really wish everyone a very good night. And please take the next 4 minutes to provide us with your comments. Thank you so much, Keith and Ophelia. Very nice. Nice to see you on here, Paul. Thank you, Lauren. And Sarah. Great. Great comment, Tony and Sarah. Very specific. Beautiful. Rob, nice to see you on. Great. Thank you so much for your comment. Great comment. If you have additional comments, please email us and we'll make sure to get them incorporated. Again, we really thank everyone for attending tonight. And have a great rest of the evening. Good night, everyone. Bye.